Grumpiness to Internet. Welcome back to Redneck Radio, the live stream where today you get an extra healthy side helping of fresh baked peach cobbler. Oh my gosh, that sounds good. Sounds good. And with me today, as you can see, is the Badger Man. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Oh, tired, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I'm tired, but I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I've been able to rest most of the day. So, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Uh, and looking forward to today. You guys don't know. I actually look forward to these streams they are not a chore. I look forward to doing them every, 3 times a week. I do. Not to sound all feeling sorry for myself or anything, but I don't have many people to talk to in real life. Nobody talks to me. It comes to me, so I get to talk to you 3 times. No, seriously, it is good to talk to people.
I gotta say I can't even say the people, the beings I talked to the most in the last week, the in person, like not on the internet. I'm talking in person. We're the 12th chicken. Or chickens. Is chickens the plural of chicken?
Yeah.
Okay. The 12 chickens my parents hold here. And I was tasked every day when my parents were on vacation in Croatia to take out the eggs and store them neatly and do all that. And yeah, so those were my best friends.
Well, yeah.
Today I had to bother them a little bit because usually I went in like around 4 to 5 p.m. to take out all the eggs. Today was a little bit later, and they didn't like that.
I've dealt with chickens on more than a few occasions.
Yeah, they thankfully they didn't sleep just yet, but I think they were preparing.
Thank you, real quick. Thank you, Havoc, for the donation. High Blood Wing, and I'll probably butcher the German here. Guten Abend.
That's pretty. That's yeah. You want to stress the second word on the A. So it's Abend.
Abend. Okay.
Yeah.
I should be able to pronounce it better than that because my grandfather was a German Jew, but I know absolutely zero German.
That's all right. German is not a language that you need to know in a world context. If in certain fields, yes, like I think German is still a very, very common language of science.
Yeah,
but I would also say in the arts, in like poetry and stuff like that, because of all the German writers and poets and all that. But in everyday conversation, who cares?
yeah. But to be fair, I barely speak English, my native language. So. I can write English much better than I speak it, and I do speak a smattering of French, and that's about it. What little bit of French I can remember from 8th and 9th grade French class. So.
Oh God, yeah. For me, it's similar. I had French for 6 years in school.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Hold on, let me. No, 7 years, not just 6. 7 years in school. I can't remember a damn thing. If you, I mean, I think that's an exaggeration because I do from time to time. You may have seen me. There's a great Twitter user called David Vainqueur, or probably David Vainqueur, True Canuck on Twitter, and he obviously speaks French. He's from French Canada. And that was deliberate. And so I try to make conversation with him on Twitter in French from time to time, just to keep it alive, keep it fresh in my head, because if you don't practice, it's so easy to forget a language.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can still remember the alphabet. I can still do the alphabet in French, and I can still count in French. But anything other than that takes some thought because I just have never used it.
Yeah, the counting in French, because I'm a numbers kind of guy.
Yeah.
If you look at my Twitter, for the most part, I mean, you see that very clearly. I'm juggling a lot of numbers there, so that's the one thing that I really don't struggle with. And so counting in other languages, yeah, that's the one thing that I find easy too. But everything else, like, oh,
Yeah, it kind of a humorous story. In the early 2000s, I was working in a Toyota dealership. Working in, I was, yeah, forgot the name of the term. I worked in the garage. I was a service advisor. That's what they call it. and I'm the guy that greets you when you pull your car in, finds out what's wrong with it, and I'm your go-between between the mechanic and you.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, a lady pulls in a Toyota Celica. I'll never forget it. She looked really familiar to me, but I, right offhand, I didn't know why. And she started talking. I got to her name, and I'm like, "Wow, you're my 8th grade French teacher." Now I'm in my 40s by this point, right?
Oh, wow.
And she says, "Yeah, what was your name? What's your name?" And I just right there on my name tag. So I flipped my name tag at her, and she, "Oh, I remember you." And I remember thinking, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
could be either, certainly.
And the first question out of her mouth was, "Can you still speak it?" And I said, "Oh, heck no."
Yeah, it's I hate that. Like, if you don't practice, that's part of why my English is so good for a German. That I just have so much practice. Like, for let me guess now. I think, what is it now? 8, 9, 10 years every day almost. I've gotten to a point where I'm thinking in my second language. That's not normal. But I've more and more, I find myself, for like the last couple of years, thinking in English. I don't have any English relatives or anything. Like, I'm not gonna say my family is as German as they come, because that's not true. I have plenty of Polish ancestry, but no English, nothing. And yet, for some reason, I think in this language that I didn't grow up with. I only learned when I was in school, starting second grade, not even first grade, starting in second grade. And it's just so weird just thinking about it.
Well, there's people in the chat kind of questioning my choice of French. Let me explain to you. When I hit 8th grade, I had to take a foreign language. It was required.
Yeah,
you had
same.
to take a foreign language, but we only had 4 choices.
Only. I had one choice, French.
We only had 4 choices. One was Latin, and I'm like, well, that's a dead language unless I'm going to be a lawyer or a scientist, which I don't see myself being either one of those. It would be a waste of time. The other was Spanish, and I'm like, now, mind you, this is in the 70s, so it was before the big bilingual, Spanish and English push in America.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just didn't see the sense in that. The other was German. I'm like, yeah, maybe, but then the last one was French, and I thought, French is the language of romance. Maybe it'll help me get a Seriously, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I look at that age. At that age, that's understandable. Looking back, you're like, yeah,
Yeah, right.
Looking back, I look, what do you think? Not taking into account the historic development of the Hispanic people coming into the US and Spanish being that important of a language. Do you think another choice would have been better? Like looking back from now.
Well, seeing how things are today, if I knew more Spanish, would probably be more practical and helpful for me today.
Trying to take that. I know it's hard, to take out a whole development, but just excluding that. If let's say if the importance of Spanish in the United States had remained the same since the 70s.
Well, honestly, at the time, I didn't see any of them as being helpful, but I had to pick one. So.
See, the point I'm trying to make is the German would have been, I think, a better choice because you would have been able, to connect with your ancestry a little bit better, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah, perhaps. But then if I was going to go down that route, then I'd have to learn Cherokee. And learn to speak.
Okay.
I'd have to
look. You can start somewhere. Doesn't mean you have to learn every language of your ancestry. Come on,
I'd have
man.
to learn Gaelic because on my mother's side is Scottish and Irish.
That's okay. Sure, whatever. I give up.
Amanda mentioned that she learned Spanish and ASL, and I assume she means American Sign Language.
Yeah.
I actually,
I don't think she means age, sex, location.
My family actually learned ASL because my oldest sister, the one that some of you may remember, I've mentioned before, that has cerebral palsy, went deaf in her adult years, stone deaf. And so to help communicate with her, we learned sign language. Now I've forgotten some of it because we don't use it all the time. And honestly, my sister reads lips so well that often people don't know that she can't hear. So it's a little unused, but it's very interesting. I'd love to learn in sign language. Very interesting.
Yeah, I never got the opportunity to. Never really had a need for it, but sometimes you do pick up on sign language stuff, on TV or something, and in some kind of report or something like that. And every time I just find it interesting some of the signs for the weirdest things are just hilarious. I think I once saw the German sign language sign for Angela Merkel. I was like, yeah, that's funny.
Did they put horns on their head like a cow?
No, that would have been great, but I think it was something with their what do you call it? Damn it. I need to look this up 1 second.
See, that's the other thing I found. I don't know why I find strange. What I find strange about sign language is that it's different across the world. I mean, American Sign Language even is different than British Sign Language. So I'm like, you'd think it'd be more universal, but
yeah, apparently not. But so something. I think one part of the sign is to take your index finger and your middle finger and pull down or pretend to pull down the corners of your mouth. Because that's, if you look at Angela Merkel, you see very often that her corners of the mouth are very, very low.
Yeah.
Like she looks crazy. And so that is one part. I was like, oftentimes people in Germany make fun of that, and I think for good reason, but and as I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's fitting. Couldn't stop laughing for a while when I saw that. It was great.
I find American Sign Language very interesting, in part because it's very heavily based in the latter part of the 19th century in that culture. And in fact, the sign for man is heavily based on the man tipping his hat to the lady.
Oh, cool.
Sign for woman, it resembles a woman tying the strings to her bonnet.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of references to that era, and once you get that, then a lot of it makes sense. You start making sense. But I find it has come in handy. I've been able to communicate. I worked as I've mentioned, a lot in service departments in garages.
Mhm.
And on occasion you do get a deaf person that comes in, and I've been able to communicate with them well enough to to get the job done. They get so excited though sometimes when they find out that you can sign, that they start rattling off all this stuff, and you're going, "Oh, wait, slow down, go real slow," because it's I guess it's rare for them to run across someone hearing that they can communicate with.
Mhm.
But they get so excited that they just rattle it off so rapid fire. Their hands are like a blur, and I'm going, wait, I didn't see that. Hold on there, slow down.
They're so excited they go.
Yeah. Uh, humorous story on that. Years and years ago, I was at a funeral, not someplace you find something funny all the time, I guess, but
Yeah.
it was for someone in my wife's family. And if I haven't mentioned it before, which I'm pretty sure I have, I'm not very well liked by my wife's family. They don't like me for the most part. There's a couple of them that do, but for the most part, not so much. So I on those kind of functions, I tend to end up in a back room somewhere, just to stay out of trouble.
Mhm.
And I was in that back room of the funeral home, along with 3 of her cousins. She has 3 cousins that are deaf, and
Mhm.
they knew who I was, but I had never seen them too often. I knew who they were, and they knew who I was, but we weren't on friendly terms really.
Yeah.
But they're sitting there. So they're in the back room, I guess, because they can't communicate with everybody else. I'm back there because nobody wants to communicate with me. So here we are, the rejects, sitting in the back room, and they're carrying on this conversation. Well, I didn't want to be rude and listen in, he says with air quotes, because you're not really listening, you're watching, but I couldn't help it. It's right there in front of me. So I'm watching their conversation, and they're talking about me because they don't know that I can read sign.
Oh.
They're talking about me, and it wasn't bad. They were talking about how cute they thought I was, and all this.
Oh, come on. Now you misread.
No. I'm telling, this was back when I was still fairly handsome.
Okay.
Before I got old.
I see.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and finally I can't help it. I'm just grinning ear to ear, and one of them notices, and they look at me, and you can see that look on their face is starting to dawn on them, and she signs at me, "Can you understand me?" And I sign back, "Yes."
Oh.
They were so embarrassed, and I laughed so hard.
That's amazing. See,
Because let's be
those
honest,
occasions.
let's be honest, most people don't speak sign language, so they feel comfortable talking amongst themselves, and they can say whatever they want because nobody understands them.
Yeah.
And so for that to happen to him was embarrassing. It's yeah, I'll never forget. That was hilarious. I would have been about, I don't know, mid to late 30s at the time, probably.
Mm.
But Morse code, no. Tac Alpha, I don't know Morse code. I don't. I mean, I know how to do SOS. Who doesn't?
Yeah, that's the easiest one.
But no, I don't know Morse code. I think it'd be interesting. But
I get just like with sign language for me personally, I don't see the use. Like I don't see where it ever would come in handy other than, the one everyone already knows, which is SOS.
yeah.
But
Well,
other than that, I mean,
the sign language, I would like to brush up on it, and I'm going to sooner or later if I find, maybe find an online course or something to brush up and refresh my memory, because I am forgetting some of it. I am, and just like with any language, it has its own syntax, its own grammar, and so forth. And I need to brush up on all of that.
Mm.
Um and I find it, even if I never run across another deaf person, just the fact that I know that I can communicate them. If I do run across one, it just makes me feel good,
Mm.
So it's just a personal thing. Amanda says it's also considered rude in deaf culture to look at the hands of people signing to each other because that's like listening in. Yeah, it is. And I knew that. And I was trying so hard not to. But it was just they were furiously talking back and forth and laughing. And it was all going on right in front of me. And it was either look at them or stare at the floor. So,
What kind of floor was it?
carpeted. I remember
Yeah,
that.
that's boring. So I understand why you looked at the hands.
Yeah.
Just carpet. Eh.
But yeah, I think American Sign Language in particular, because I don't know anything about the other styles of sign language at all. But American
Mm.
Sign Language is very interesting, and it's amazing how much of it is based in customs and so forth in the latter part of the 19th, early part of the 20th century.
Mm.
And once you get that in your brain, then the signs actually make sense, because so many of them are representations of actions,
Mm.
So, yeah.
I mean, you would still have to learn them,
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
It's easier to remember them, but I mean, you would still have to learn them, and that's the hard part.
But it's, yeah, it was a very interesting thing. And I do plan on refreshing it. And I wasn't, my daughter, Mama Minnie, was out there earlier saying that she's relearning it again now that she's back in college. So, yeah,
What is she studying, if I may ask?
I'm not real sure.
What?
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
I'm not. I know she's told me, but God, my memory, Jesus.
Oh,
And
man.
it won't shock her that I don't know. Thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. Look, it's a redneck and his future raccoon hats.
No. No hats.
I've had a raccoon hat once upon a time when I was when I was a boy, and they're not that comfortable. So, no thanks.
Fun fact: I still have a raccoon hat, but only in Red Dead Online. But they do have a raccoon hat in there. I was still hoping that at some point they're going to introduce what they have in the single player, because there is a badger hat in there as well. I was so hoping they're going to introduce that at some point. They haven't done that yet. I'm so waiting for that.
Yeah. I did not, no kidding. When I was a little kid, of course, this is back when the TV shows Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett were popular. So, every little kid wanted a raccoon hat.
Yeah, now you're talking gibberish to me. I have no idea.
But yeah, I had one back then. I also had a friend that had a pet raccoon.
Oh, God.
And that thing hated me, and the feeling was mutual.
Don't raccoons hate every human pretty much?
Oh, they are ornery little critters. Ornery. That thing, just out of, spite, anytime it would see me, would delight and just, it was like a sewing machine. It would run up one side of me and down the other, just biting me the whole way. God, keep that thing away from me.
I don't know why, but I find that kind of funny.
Well, it was kind of.
Sorry, I was lying a little bit there. I know exactly why I find that funny.
But it was an adolescent, and if you know much about raccoons, you know that they're about medium size. A full-grown raccoon, you don't want to mess with.
No.
They get very big. I remember one time we lived in a house that had a very big front porch, and my wife woke up early in the morning, and there happened to be about 3 raccoons on the front porch.
Mm.
And we live here in the city. But they were on the porch. 2 of them were adolescent, and one was full grown. And she goes, "Look at them; they're so cute." She's looking at them through the storm door, right, through the glass. And they don't care. They're not afraid of you. They're just doing whatever. They know she's there. She goes, I want to pet him. And I said, I guarantee you one thing. You reach your hand out there to pet one of them, you're going to pull back a bloody stump.
Yep.
Don't do it.
The full grown ones, certainly.
Yeah.
And even the other two, they might, not be all too nice to her hand. And maybe not maybe not a stump, but yeah, I wouldn't want to risk it.
There's a reason why people that hunt raccoons, and yes, it's still a thing in some southern states. Some of my family in Kentucky still hunt raccoons. There's a reason why they hunt them with a full pack of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. So, but Davy Crockett, man of the wild frontier. Thank you, Neckersall. Yeah, that's a blast from the past.
Oh God. See, I don't know these.
Well, the
American...
TV shows were long before your time, and
yeah, obviously
they were dramatizations of historical figures of Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone, which are figures, both of which are very revered in American history.
What did they do?
Well, Davy Crockett done a lot of things. He was a statesman. He was a frontiersman. And he's most known for dying at the Alamo, for Pete's sake. But
okay.
Daniel Boone was a Kentucky woodsman and played a huge part in Kentucky becoming less of a territory and more of a state.
Oh,
but they were known. Both of them were known for wearing coonskin caps.
So what you're saying is, without Daniel Boone, there wouldn't be such an influential Mitch McConnell, huh?
Well, the Commonwealth of Kentucky might not have happened as early as it did. And yes, Kentucky is one of two states, I believe it's just two, that is a Commonwealth and not a state. But both of them are all almost mythological status.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of things that are attributed to them are mythological. They just didn't happen.
They're the American version of Jesus.
Yeah, more or less. And yes, geodes, you're right. Both Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett were played by the actor Fess Parker. Yeah.
Okay. Again, I don't know who that is.
No, you probably wouldn't. He's an actor. Best known
I
for
figured that.
Best
figured that part.
He was a big fella, very tall, very fit, and he played the roles of both. Now, the reason he was able to do that is because Davy Crockett was. Now we're really going old school. Way back in the day, Disney used to have a weekly series called The Wonderful World of Disney.
Okay.
On television. And it aired on Sundays. And there would be different stories, like it might be one of their cartoons. Like I remember seeing Fantasia on it, or something like that. Or it might be one of their live action features.
Mm-hmm.
And Davy Crockett was one of those serial features. There would be an episode every few weeks on The Wonderful World of Disney.
Okay.
Of Davy Crockett. Daniel Boone was a full-blown TV series, so week in, week out, it was on.
Ah, I see.
So,
and that's how it came together.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. I never saw he killed a bear. No, it's a bar. Daniel Boone killed a bar when he was only 3.
Wait, what?
A bear.
There's so much there that
I don't expect you. Heck, I don't expect the younger crowd in our chat to know. We're going back.
Am I not a part of the younger crowd?
Well, you are, but you are a German, not an American.
Yeah.
Even though you speak American very, very, very well.
Thank you.
I don't expect you to be as knowledgeable about. I mean, if I wasn't a history nut, I probably wouldn't be as knowledgeable about your history. And
how much of German history do you know? Outside, I'm gonna specify here.
World War One and
Outside
World War
Nazi
Two.
Germany.
I do know some. I do know some about their history prior to that, and and so forth.
I wasn't even saying prior. I was just saying outside. That would include the history you were there for. Well, obviously not in Germany, but you were able to witness in the in the late 1940s when you were born.
Yeah. Geode says Fess Parker and Ed Ames is Mingo, which was was Daniel Boone's Indian companion in the TV show, who was not an Indian.
Ooh,
he was a singer.
cultural appropriation.
My mom used to actually have one of his albums. He was a crooner. He was a singer. But fun fact, he could actually throw a hatchet, a tomahawk, because
Oh, wow.
I've seen him do it live on a TV show one time. He learned to
I
do it
mean,
for his
to be fair, I can do that too. Again, only in Red Dead Online, but but hey, gotta count for something, right? I'm so addicted to this game. I'm playing it right now. I'm so addicted.
Havoc says used to watch reruns of the 1964 TV series with Fess Parker during the summer with my grandparents on their cattle ranch. Yeah, I would still watch it now if I found it, say, like on Netflix or something like that. It was a good TV show. Probably cheesy and hokey by today's standards, but all TV shows back then were, because they didn't cuss every other word, and it wasn't blatant nudity every other scene. So
Oh, that's unfortunate.
you got to remember, we're talking the 60s, where even a married couple either had to, if they were showed in their bedroom, they had to show them in separate beds, or both of them had to have at least 1 foot on the ground. That's a fact.
Wait, what?
Yep.
That's what?
Yep.
No.
I'm not joking. You can
Oh
look it up if you
God.
don't believe me, but yeah. Thank you, Cryptic, for the
Wow.
donation. Germans are just known for massacres. I don't know. I hear they're pretty good oven makers, but
Oh, I disavow.
I disavow. But yeah, that's an absolute fact. If you watch, say, for instance, and I know you may not have ever seen it, but you've at least heard of the old TV show I Love Lucy with Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
You're assuming way too much here, my friend. You're assuming way too much.
Lucy was Hollywood in the late 50s, when TV was really catching on.
Yeah, exactly. Late 50s. How am I supposed to know?
It was a very popular TV show, and fun
in the US.
fun fact. Neckersall, I had two rifleman cap rifles. They were so cool. Wished I still had them. Fun fact, they were actually married in real life at the time they made the TV show.
Oui.
Any bedroom scene that was shown on the TV show showed them in separate beds.
No.
They were in separate, single-sized beds. Another popular TV show of a little bit later, but not much later, Dick Van Dyke, separate beds. Jeez. If they were shown in the same bed, both had to have at least 1 foot on the floor. So in other words, they can only show them like sitting on the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was a rule. It seriously was.
I don't get that. I'm saying why, but I understand why. Come on. Really? That's one thing where I'm legit happy that we've gotten a little bit further. Well, sure, the nudity, the straight up nudity on TV that doesn't have to be, but come on, that is just very, very prude.
It is, but at least in that day, a parent could turn on the TV set, let their kids watch it, and not worry about what they were going to see.
Yeah, but again, like if you allow them to just lie in the same bed and not have at least 1 foot each on the floor, and you could have expanded the rules a little bit without your kids seeing that the nasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's room in the middle, there's room in between.
Now that
Jeez.
slowly, of course, phased out,
Good.
But here's another fun fact for you. For the movies at the time, and just as now, movies, of course, cross the line a little more than TV does, or at least for the most part.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. The movie Psycho, which, come on, I know you've got to heard.
Yes. Come on, okay. I'm not that unknowledgeable or whatever the word is.
1960, actually come out in March of 1960.
Okay.
Which explains a lot because I was born in March of 1960.
Yeah,
but did you know
everything.
that it was the very first movie in America to show a flushing toilet?
What?
Yep.
What? Huh? Why?
Because rules. You just didn't. In fact, they wouldn't even show the toilet most often. It may be.
There was a rule that prohibited movie makers, filmmakers from
gentlemen's rules. It was kind of understood, kind of thing.
Yeah, but no, but hold on. There's a difference between gentlemen's rules and a flushing toilet with presumably no one on.
No,
just someone who got done with their thing. And
in fact, the scene in Psycho where it shows the flushing toilet isn't after somebody does their business. It's when the main character at the time, the girl that the movie starts with, tears up a piece of paper and flushes it down the toilet.
See? That's not bad.
No, but it was scandalous at the time.
A flushing toilet, something every American probably does at least once every day, usually more, is scandalous when it happens on TV or in a movie in this case. Like, huh? Jesus.
Yeah, that's just the way that it was. Of course, that movie raised a lot of eyebrows when it came out. It broke a lot of barriers and taboos. I mean, the main first character, the woman, is in a sexual relationship. It's very clearly shown, and without the benefit of marriage, that was a big no-no.
Oh yeah, of course.
She was shown in her bra and not in her underwear, but in her slip, bra and slip, which was really racy for the time.
Yeah, of course.
The blood in the shower was perfectly fine. That raised a lot of eyebrows.
The blood in the shower.
Do you know what that blood actually was in real life? What they used to signify?
They didn't use what they have now, this sort of film blood, where they have like something specifically prepared, like.
No,
it was.
No. Remember, the film was shot in black and white, so they didn't have to worry about color.
Oh, ooh, that makes it almost anything.
It was chocolate syrup.
Nice.
Yep,
that's funny.
Chocolate syrup, because it had just the right consistency during the scene. Because remember they zoomed in on it draining down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
It had just the right consistency to look right in that shot.
And ever since we got color in TV and movies.
Had color then. He made the choice to film it in black and white.
In
fact, his previous films were in. He had just the year before in '59 finished North by Northwest, and it was in color.
Okay.
He made the creative choice to film it in black and white because he felt it fit the mood of the movie much better. And I have to agree with him.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah.
You know, and yes, it's a very old movie, but if you've never seen it, go watch. Do yourself a favor, go watch it. It's still unsettling and still creepy. And you know, there's people that will argue with you whether it was the first slasher movie, because there was another movie that come out of just a few months before, same year, a little bit before, called Peeping Tom, that came out of England, that they say was the first slasher movie. But regardless, it sure put the genre on the map. That movie that did it. But yeah. Yeah, and Pat, yeah, and then they switched to corn syrup with food coloring, you know. And then you get to the late 60s and 70s when grindhouse movies were the thing, you know, and they were out to shock, and they made it even brighter red than real blood is. It was just incredibly bright red in some of those movies. It was ridiculous. But Necrosol, take it easy, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, great. I still feel that it's one of the best movies ever made. There's a lot going on in Psycho that you might not realize, you know, in one sitting or in several sittings you might not catch. But a lot of things going on in the background. Like there's a reason in almost every shot where Norman Bates and the girl, and I keep saying the girl because I can't remember her name. I should, but I can't remember.
We understand. We know your age. We understand.
In every scene, if you look in the background, there's a mirror. No matter what room they're in, where they're at, whether in the motel or up in the old house, there's a mirror.
Yeah, I've heard about that one before. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Thank you, Havoc, for the donation. On the note of horror movies, I think the scariest movie I've ever seen was The Day After. I didn't sleep right after a few days after that. Yeah. Psycho still unsettles me when I watch it because it's just so well done and so well acted that it still unsettles me. Elwin says The Birds is also creepy. Yeah, the Birds just outright scared me when I was a kid. Kyler, yep, dude, have a good day at work. Thanks for stopping by, dude. I appreciate you. Your boy passes. My first scary movie was The Howling. It was a decent movie. I remember The Howling.
I don't.
Yeah, we're probably in an area that's a little bit out of your comfort zone because we're talking about old movies. But
yeah, a little. Yeah.
But you know,
just a little.
Dream has always been like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, and I try to let it be. What would be the word? You know, to flow naturally. You know, that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's eluding me at the moment. But
freely.
Well, but that's still not the word. But
okay, I don't know.
Havoc says The Birds was crazy. Good Alfred Hitchcock movie, though. I love every Alfred Hitchcock movie I've ever watched, and I think I've watched them all. Although he had some really, really old early movies before he got really super popular that maybe I haven't seen some of those. But yeah, I love all of them. First horror film was Angry Illinois, and his first horror film was Halloween. Oh, and I was 3 when I saw it. John Carpenter's version, the only version. You mean? And I know I get a lot of people today said, "Oh, I watched it. It wasn't even scary, and it was hokey." You got to remember, at the time that original Halloween come out, nobody had seen anything really like that.
Yeah,
and the soundtrack that he laid to it, which he wrote himself, was just so on point for that movie. And just to give you an example of just how crazy that movie was, there will be people that will fight with you and argue with you that it was bloody. It never shows any blood in the movie.
Oh.
It implies it, but never shows.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. But people will argue with you today. Oh, yes, it is. No, it don't. Go back and watch it. You won't see any.
Never argue with the old man.
Especially when we're talking horror movies, because that is my thing.
Yeah. Sports, we know you're a Colts fan, so that's an easy one. But
yeah. I'm trying not to get on the sports because we tend to lose about half of our.
We do? Aw.
When we go to sports.
Come on, people. Be better than that.
So I'm trying not to go there, other than just to say that we are playing primetime this week. We're Sunday Night Football.
Are you playing against the Chiefs?
The Chiefs, so we ain't got a chance in heck.
Yeah. however,
I may be a fan, but I'm not stupid.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy with Brissett's performance.
Oh, well, yeah. I haven't been unhappy with his.
No. I'm talking like this week, especially the upcoming game, because as much as the Chiefs do have an offense, they really don't have a defense.
Brissett has been an extremely pleasant surprise. I was skeptical coming into the season because all I ever seen was his play in 2017, where he was basically brought over from the Patriots and then just thrown in,
Yeah.
And having watched him play so far this season, I'm pleasantly surprised. He's a very good game manager. And yes, he lost the game for us last week with a pick, but that's very unusual with him. He takes care of the ball very well. And is he up to, like Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady status? No, he's not there yet, but he's a very good quarterback.
Yeah, the thing is you've been blessed, or the Colts have been blessed with such good quarterback play pretty much ever since 1998. First Manning, then Luck.
Yep.
Sure, he was injured. Manning was injured a couple times, but like overall,
and a lot of people,
I would compare that. And I'm bracing for that in the next 5 years or so. If you look at the Packers, we went from Favre to Rodgers. Like that's a similar thing. Yeah. We've been blessed with such good quarterback play as well. At some point, the next guy, chances are he's not going to be that good. Yeah. So, Brissett is very serviceable.
He's solid. He's a very solid quarterback. Very solid. Thank you, Willingham, for the donation. I have a big problem with how many people in movies openly say, "Oh my God," or other God-related expletives. Just say something else. Dang it.
Oh my God.
You want to know what the one big no-no for me in a movie, especially horror movies? The one where I'm apt to maybe turn it off.
Ooh.
Don't hurt the kids.
Oh yeah.
Because I'll see scenes and they're hinting that this kid's gonna die or he's gonna disappear or whatever, and I'm going, no, don't do it. I'll turn it off. Nope, don't do it.
Yeah,
I hurt the kids.
For me, it would be two things: don't hurt the kids, and don't senselessly hurt animals. Like if there's someone who just decides to shoot an animal, I'm like, yeah, that's not. Come on, that's no. That's just a no-no.
I'm not a fan of hurting the kids. I'm just not. And I realize that does happen in real life, but that doesn't mean I want to see it in my fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I intended to do for sports. For football this week, we do play on Sunday, and I expect us to thoroughly get our butts kicked. But
Hold on. What did I pick on Twitter? Let me
well, as
see.
bad as their defense may be, ours isn't any better.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
and if you,
artillery weak
I
spot.
think, look, I'm gonna say this: if you wanna bet on that game, bet on the over.
Uh, our
'Cause,
secondary is just total garbage.
yeah, bet,
You
but
beat the Colts, throw
seriously,
on them.
seriously, everyone watching, if you want to bet on sports, bet on any Chiefs game and the over. That's how easy it is. Like, and make money.
Yeah.
Because again, they have probably the best offense, and they don't have a defense, so they score a lot of points and they get scored on with a lot of points. So
Hey, no worries, Maddie. It's all good. Better late than never. Never better late than never. I don't worry about it if you guys show up late. Plus, I understand all too well about YouTube's notification system being screwed.
YouTube in general is just screwed.
I have
Jesus,
honestly gotten notifications for videos that came out 8 to 10 hours earlier.
damn, yeah, it's
I'm like, really?
similar thing.
It's kind of late for that, don't you think?
Yeah, but hey, that's YouTube. YouTube is so broken, and plus they're also lying. Have you seen the latest Nerd City video?
I've heard about it, haven't seen it. I have heard.
Watch it after this stream. Go ahead and watch it. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's great. A lot of research went into that, and it's just yeah, eye opening. Really is.
I mean, I have heard about it, but no. Have I sat down and watched it? No. I seen a clip or two.
Hmm.
That was on. Oh, and be nice. Daggone it.
What do you say?
Be nice.
Look, Bloodwing's on a budget. Yes, this is the best he can do.
And understand, I don't expect everybody to like everybody I do, but understand that if I have somebody on this stream, it's because I like them and they're my friend. So, I was going to say that, Maddie, but I didn't get a chance to. That they shouldn't have been so mean to you to compare the way you look to Rashida Tlaib. Yeah, that was pretty mean too.
The thing is, Rashida Tlaib doesn't look horrible. It's her views that suck, So, Maddie, you're perfectly fine. Everything's good. It's just, you don't have her views. That's why, you're in the clear.
Yeah.
She sucks.
Of course, some people think that AOC is very good looking. I personally don't. Off. There's something.
Look. Never stick your dick in crazy.
But yeah. Thank you, Owen Harmon, for the donation for the Better Guest Fund. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't pay for my guests, so let's not get that rumor started. We don't want people coming over here thinking they're going to get paid. We just don't at all. Yeah, her face is too long, her teeth are too big, for my taste. Now, if you find her attractive, hey, good on you. Different strokes, different folks. Whatever. But I don't find her attractive personally. But yeah, I'm getting that sense, Owen. I am getting that sense. But sorry, he's my friend.
I mean, I personally, I wouldn't what's the word? Brush? No, with paint with a broad brush, or was I'm messing up my sayings here. I'm sorry.
Are you
Sorry,
saying
what?
you're not my friend?
Hello, what?
Are you saying you're not my friend?
No, 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 no.
I know you're talking to Owen. I know.
Yeah, I wouldn't paint any one nationality with a broad brush, you know.
I was just pushing you back.
And Owen says his granddad killed my granddad. I doubt that because one of my granddads is still alive, and the other died 2003. Yeah, 2003. A natural death. So you know, I doubt that. Oh, paint with broad strokes. There it is. Thank you,
Yeah.
Diesel Dave. Thank you. I'm messing up my proverbs and phrases and all that. I'm sorry. Second language. What can I do?
And yeah, you're right. Wikipedia snippet: Sarah Palin and Tina Fey do share looks, but probably nothing else. They do look similar.
But they can both see Russia from their houses.
Yeah.
God, that was the thing. Is like so many people forget that like it was Tina Fey who came up with that. Like Sarah Palin never said that. It's just the people attribute it to Sarah Palin that she said that because they saw Tina Fey doing such a good impression.
Well, there's a lot of that goes on, isn't there? That
Yeah.
people think like this movie says that or that movie says that, and it never really says that. It might say something similar to that, but it doesn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just, you know, in movies anymore. It's like everywhere now, and it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I always wonder, is ignorance really bliss? I don't think so.
No.
In my opinion, no, it's not. Yeah. I don't think so. No. I think, of course, you know, understand what ignorance is. Ignorance is different than stupid. Ignorance is you don't know something. You haven't learned it. You're not aware of it.
I have to pick up on what Owen says there. Germany is the armpit of Europe. Yes and no.
No, it's the Wiener Schnitzel of Europe.
Nice.
I just said that because I like the word Wiener Schnitzel. I'm not.
Of course you do. Again, yes and no. I would say yes in that I would say politically we are the armpit of Europe, but at the same time, if you look at like nature and landscape, like Germany is a fucking beautiful country. Sorry for swearing on your stream, Bloodwing, but you know.
No, you're fine.
It's something that I also found myself, you know, in a second language. I'm much like I'm not as hesitant to swear. In German, I'm like, yeah, try to find a different word. In English, I'm like, just let it rip. I don't care. It's just I don't
these
even know
streams
why.
don't get monetized, and they haven't from the very beginning.
Oh,
I mean, I try, but by
yeah.
the time it uploads, it's got that yellow symbol.
That actually the you know what I think it might be? Your title. That
Redneck.
first word in your title. I'm not going to mention it, obviously, because you know.
Well, I'm not going to change that because I know that redneck is a derogatory term, and it started as a derogatory term. You know, it's very inception was to make fun of the common people that have to work for a living and have rednecks because they work out in the sun.
Hold on. People actually having to work. Ew.
Yeah. But I know it started as that. But I'm proud of the stock I come from and who I am and what I'm about. So as I've said before, I'm going to take the word back. If black people can take the N word back, I can take the R word back.
Wait, which R word?
Redneck.
We have multiple.
Redneck.
Okay. I was worried for a second there. Like, yeah, come on. But yeah. Like, generally, I don't like the idea of leaving or letting certain groups take words and give them a different meaning. Like, I'm not a fan, you know. I am a fan if it's, for example, if it's that group that what used to be addressed with a certain word derogatorily, then taking it back to turn its meaning on its head. I'm very much in favor of that. But this whole you know, they trying to turn, what was it? You know, the whole free speech. You only talk about hate speech and stuff like that. Like, no, I'm talking about free speech.
Yeah.
Fuck off. You know,
Well,
stuff like that. It's just
I think the difference between what I intend to do with Redneck and what the black people have done with the N word is, even though they were both derogatory terms to start with, I don't understand why redneck was a derogatory term, because what it was representative of hardworking common people. You know, the framework for the entire world.
Yeah, the peasants, the rich people look down upon, you know.
Yeah. So I have no, I'm just taking what it already is and turning it into a positive instead of a negative.
Yeah, good.
But yeah. Anyway, on that note, it is that time, folks, and I'm sorry, Badger, but you're going to have to cover for me for a few minutes.
All right.
I promise I'll be back unless the stream ends like that one time.
Hey, it took you over an hour. Congrats.
It only felt like over an hour. Are you kidding me?
No, it's an hour and 1 minute.
Yeah. Oh, well, to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you talking about? Hold on. What the hell?
I thought you meant when the stream, when I got bounced out of the stream one of the last times you were on here, and it took me a while to get back. But
no, I was talking about the bathroom.
And you were sweating. But I'll be right back as soon as I can. Oh, and be nice while I'm gone.
No, and go ahead, try to troll me. I don't care too much, you know. Just
I'll be back.
All right. But yeah, so since I was talking about, you know, Germany being the armpit of Europe politically, there was something that I saw a couple days ago. There's a German cartoonist, probably the most famous in Germany, at least the most famous German cartoonist. He's got like a Twitter following of Jesus, too many, way too many. I'm gonna look him up right now. I need to. How do I do this? Let's see, like, because he blocked me, so I can't. There you go. So this way I can open. Hold on. What? Can I not? Really? I can't even. Huh? Okay. Well then. You can't even right click anymore on Twitter and oh, what the hell? Okay, here you go. So he has 461,000 followers, and he posted a poll a couple days ago, and that tells you a lot about Germany in 2019. He posted a poll and asked his followers, 461,000, most of them Germans, obviously, whether he should try to fundraise 90 million euros, which is pretty much $90 million, more or less. Crowdfund that, buy all the newspapers in Germany, and then introduce a rule that there are no more interviews ever with certain, let's say, conservative politicians. He listed 4 politicians. 3 of them are clearly conservative. They're not neo-Nazi or anything. They're just conservative. One of them, I don't even know who that is. Don't recognize one of the names, but the other three just conservatives. And 89% of people who voted, which were 18,000, 89% says yes, please crowdfund and do this. Like, that's how totalitarian Germany has become again. That basically someone wants to buy all the newspapers and decide who can and can't be interviewed and can and can't be spoken with. That is just, I saw that. I called him a Nazi, which is why he blocked me. Because this is what the Nazis did. They took all the media companies, all the newspapers, and they made it theirs. They're like, you have to print what we say.
And that's what played a huge part in the rise of Hitler, to be honest.
Exactly. And this guy's out there is like, hey, wouldn't that be a good idea? No, it would fucking not.
You know, say what you want about them, but they were masters at propaganda.
Yeah.
Just knew exactly what they were doing. And,
definitely, yeah.
But a couple things here. One is, if you haven't figured out the title, why the stream's titled today, don't worry. Probably no one has. When you stream 3 times a week, it's hard to always come up with a good title. Unless there's some big news story of the day and you can make an allusion to that. But I've been out of the loop for the last couple of days, and by saying I don't have no idea what's going on, that's what I mean. I don't know what's going on right now in the world because I've been out of the loop. So there you have it.
Well, that works.
Yeah. The other thing, the reason, and I mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk about this, so I'm going to bring the conversation back to it for just a moment because I think it's worth talking about. The reason I'm out of the loop is yesterday, and those of you that follow me on Twitter already know this, but yesterday was, take my dad around to his appointments day. And for those of you that don't know, my dad is 80 years old. He's wheelchair bound and suffers from dementia. And, oh, good Lord, that wore me out. I'm not in good shape anymore, folks. Now, he may only weigh 190 pounds, but that's 190 pounds of dead weight. And getting him up and out, in and out of that van, not to mention once you do that, then you got to fold his wheelchair up and get it in the van several times during yesterday. Just wore the heck out of me. Wore the heck out of me. And what made it even harder, as I was talking to you a little bit before the stream, he's got it in his head he wants to come home because he's staying in a rehabilitation center, what we used to call an old folks home, and link me, old man. Alex says, okay.
Oh no,
you would have to do that because I have a hard time doing 2 things at a time. So I think.
So should I do it?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I still hadn't copied anything since I copied the link a minute ago. So Control V.
Yes.
Control V is your friend. Thank you, Willie Ham, for the donation. Let me get it up on screen. There we go. The difference is that hillbilly and redneck have been taken back, but the N-word has not and will never till everyone can use it. Yeah, I agree, but disagree. And it's mostly because of the generation that I come through that I really don't like that word. I don't like it at all. The N-word. I don't use it. I can't remember. Even when I was a bad boy, I don't remember ever using it. I just don't like the word. But you got to understand that I come out of a generation of time where that word carried a lot of weight.
What do you mean? Oh no, Badger boy.
That's why.
Fucking shitbag. You should be like, oh yay, Alex is coming. Woo, my good English friend who doesn't hate Germans at all.
That's a lie.
Gentlemen, Bloodwing.
And that laugh told the truth.
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Well, I have it on good authority that the reason why Badger's never seen anything is because Germany only plays 2 things in their country on TV. Cartoon versions of Hansel and Gretel and videos of people being pooed on.
No.
Yes,
that's
they
not on our
do.
TV channels. No,
That's like
on the
morning.
internet.
That's like Saturday morning TV for kids.
No.
Hansel and Gretel and scat porn.
No. Fucking hell. No. Jeez, that escalated quickly.
And you're sitting there going, "Oh no," when I'm coming in, but it's your fault. The EU has got so much power in the last few years. Yours specifically.
It's not my fault.
It is.
No. I have always as soon as I turned 18 and got the right to vote, I was always voting for parties that pushed back against this, against the German power in Europe, and was trying to bring, the focus back, the German focus back onto, German national policy instead of, let's try to build this great EU thing, the EUSSR, like, no. I was always voting for political parties that were trying to fight this.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it's not my fault.
So you're not
Fuck you. I'm not what?
So you're not a good German.
I mean, hello. My name is
anybody
Badger
else
Man,
think-
also being read as bad German.
Bad German. Well, you have a point, and it never.
Clues in the name.
Thank you. I had never made the connection there, Captain Obvious.
Look, you never know. When you're this old, you never know
Yeah.
It's his
what kind of
struggle.
connection you do and don't
Anyway,
make.
if I can, I want to bring the conversation back for just a few minutes to what I was starting to talk about. Taking
Oh,
my-
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. No, I drove my dad around and everything, and I was warned by my brother-in-law, and it's usually up to my brother-in-law and I to do these things for Dad. We're the 2 main ones that do for him, take care of him, and run him when he needs to run, or bring him something when he needs it, and that kind of thing. And he had already warned me that he was on a roll about wanting to go home. And which, just long story short, he's not physically up to that level yet. He's not up to a physical level where you could trust him at home to take care of himself and do the everyday things that you need to do to take care of yourself. And which we hate it. We'd like to see him go home. Of course, to hear Dad tell it, he thinks we're out to get him. We're just being mad and mean and won't let him go home. But he warned me. He was on it. And then, of course, on the way home, he did get on it, which I hated to break it to him. But Dad, you're not ready, and we can't let you go home. Well, I'm a grown man. I can go home if I want to. No, you can't. You can't, Dad. I'm sorry. But for one, you're not physically up to it. For two, you need 24-hour care, and we don't have enough people in our family that with enough available hours to give you that 24-hour care. You just can't. It's just not doable, as much as I hate to say that. Well, I said, and the other thing to consider is the law. Well, I don't know of any law that now, Dad, stop it. Now you're being silly. And what I'm referring to, because I know Alex and Badger here are not from the U.S. My state, and I assume the other 49 states have something similar, have an organization, a government organization. Here they call it the APS, or Adult Protection Service, which sounds a lot like Child Protection Service and does the exact same thing except for elderly adults. Because the moment that they let him go home, they are required by law to contact the APS and let him know that he's at home. And they will come and visit. And my family and I, if they wanted to be jerks, could get in trouble. if they find, they could bring us up on neglect charges if he's not getting cared for in their eyes well enough. So, yeah, I didn't want to bring the stream down or make it, but I just wanted to bring it up because this is a subject very near and dear to my heart for very obvious reasons. Is the care of the elderly, and sometimes they're forgotten by society.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yep.
Alex, you've worked in the care of the elderly before.
I'm working in the care industry right now.
Yeah.
2 of them are elderly-ish.
Yeah.
I don't think that. Well, I wouldn't say they were old enough to be counted as elderly, but they are certainly old enough. One of them in particular is very vulnerable. So,
yeah.
No, I feel you, dude. I absolutely feel you. Unless you're a criminal, you even in the UK, care is extremely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Even independent living, to be able to live in what we call many elderly villages in this country. Now, you may think of village as an actual village, but they're usually just basically apartment buildings, but they're very large. Like you walk through the front door, there's like a receptionist, and usually a long hall of various services that the overarching company provides, like a restaurant.
That's what Dad lives in now. Is very much like that. We call it assisted living.
Yeah.
But
thank you, Owen. And yes, I have been keeping safe at work.
That's very much where he stays. And like I tried to explain to him, of course, Dad has done real good with his dementia. He hasn't had a real bout with it for a couple of months now, so he's been mentally in a good place for the most part. The little things here and there, like he was telling me yesterday. The doctors finally cracked down and said, you can't drive anymore. No, you're not allowed to drive anymore. And he was telling me yesterday, he goes, I found out why they did that. It's because I'm diabetic. Of course, me being me, I was tempted to say, no, Dad, it's not because you're diabetic, because there's lots of diabetic people that drive and have licenses. But, if he wants to think that, and it makes him feel better, then go ahead. But kept my mouth shut. But he's been in a good place for the most part. But he just doesn't want to see what we're telling him on this. Dad, it's for your own good. We want you to die at home because that's what he wants. He wants to go home to die.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to die in an institution. And I get that. And I don't want him to. This is the house that he's owned since I was 10 years old. We were all raised in that house. Mom died in that house. I get it. That's where he wants to be, and I want that for him. It's just not doable right now. And here's the catch-22. We could get him in-home care, but he makes too much money.
What?
Yep.
I don't know how care in the community in the UK works, and I'm mostly familiar with nursing homes and independent living, as you refer to as assisted living. But
yeah, I'm sure you've heard of the terms Medicare and Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
And I always get the two confused, so I'm not going to try to say which one's which. He's on the one, which gives him assistance in paying his bills at the institution he's at, and for his wheelchair and things like that.
I think that's Medicaid.
Yeah. He can't get the other one, which would give him free health care, pretty much. Not entirely, but pretty much. Close enough for government work. Because he makes too much money. He has too much money. Because Dad was frugal all his life and saved his money. So that's the catch-22. We're just like, are you kidding me?
So what's the pricing looking like then if you go private for that?
More than it costs for him to stay where he's at, and he's starting to run out of money now. What he's afraid of, and it is a real fear, that he's going to get to the point where he has to sell his house, and that just blows the whole point of going home.
Yeah, it does.
And
that's what a lot of people have to do, though. Sell their houses so they have enough to survive on in care until they, pass away.
What I told him, and I was able to keep it pretty calm, because he can get, if y'all have never dealt with anybody with any type of dementia at all, they can get really mean. And it's not them. It's a part of the dementia. They get really mean. And Dad's no exception. He can get really mean sometimes. But I kept it under control. And I said, look, Dad, the only thing I can tell you to do is, you've made a lot of progress in the last couple of months. You're getting up in the van easier. You're getting around. You're getting yourself dressed. You're getting yourself in and out of the toilet on your own. That's great. That's wonderful. That's the kind of progress we've been waiting to see for this last year. But you're going to have to keep pushing and get even better, or they're just not going to let you go home. And if you go home without this place's approval, even if you go home with their approval, they are required by law to alert Adult Protection Services that you are now at home.
Yeah.
They're required. They have to do it. And you're not going to, if they deem that if the Adult Protection Services deems that you're not capable of staying under those conditions on your own, you won't have any choice. They'll take the choice away from you, and they will stick you somewhere probably not as nice as where you're at right now.
Yeah. They'll stick you in a nursing home.
Yeah. And those
where you don't get any privacy.
Those places are not nice.
Mm-hmm. And the type of places you don't get your own apartment, you get a room down a long corridor. And your door's usually left open a great deal of the time.
Yeah.
And you have some carer, usually a female. Females, in my experience, generally aren't empathetic individuals. And they'll come along and they'll be rough with you.
Yeah. You're right, Owen. It's like he says, dang, this is grim. It's like being old is a crime. It feels that way. It feels like Dad's being punished because he was frugal with his money and saved it. And now he's being punished because he's elderly and has too much money. Of course, the place he's staying at is doing everything they can to make sure that doesn't last. You have a year ago when he went into that place, he had over $50,000 saved in his bank account.
Nice.
For that's just him saving little bits here and there over the years. Because he was a postal worker. He was not in a, he wasn't rich by any means. Now, a year later, he's down to about 16,000. And that's with, he still gets a monthly government stipend, his retirement and so forth. That's with that added in there. That's how much is taken out of his savings.
Yeah.
It's not going to be too awful long before he doesn't have anything left. But don't know what I can do about it. Don't know what I would do. But I did want to talk about it because, we talk about a lot of other things all the time. But I think that's one subject we don't talk about a lot.
Well, I agree. It's both of our countries have very, very messed up systems when it comes to this kind of thing. And I find it almost funny, except for, the fact that it's not funny, is that, you will receive better care, even as a human being in prison, from the system than what you will do out there in public services.
Oh, yeah. It's a common
private services.
It's a common story here in the States that homeless people will get themselves arrested on purpose because at least they got 3 hots in a cot,
Yeah. Absolutely.
You went really quiet there, Badger.
I just don't have much to add,
I know.
I haven't, it wasn't necessary for me to take care of anyone elderly yet, and
Yeah, but unfortunately, there will be a day if you and your family lives long enough that you'll be in the shape that I'm in, having to take care of your parents.
Yeah, most likely, yeah. But my mom is, hold on, 53 now. So I would say and she's in pretty good shape for 53.
So I'm older than your mom.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Not only am I older than your mom, I'm almost 7 years older than your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom must have been a youngin'.
Not with me. I was the second child.
Mm-hmm.
But with my brother, yeah, she was based on the 9 months, between when it's created and when it comes out.
When your mama was taking that dick, baby. Come
No.
on. Yeah.
No.
Think about it, Badger. Imagine it.
Fuck you.
Visualize it.
Fuck you. God. She was not 18 when my brother was conceived.
Well, my mother was a teenage mother, but she had been married 2 years by the time I was born, and I'm the oldest, so they just got married younger in those days.
I see.
She was 16 and Dad was 19 when they got married.
I see.
Obviously didn't have to, since I'm the oldest, and came 2 years later.
Yeah, no, I'm the second of two. I'm the younger and youngest. And when I was born, she was 26, so that's a little older then.
That's fine.
So when I was born, she was as old as I am now.
And you're how old now?
26.
Okay. So even my youngest kid is older than you.
Yes.
Baby.
Because my youngest daughter, the one whose husband just died, and by the way, the link to her GoFundMe is in the description. Told you I was going to bug y'all about it, but that's all I'll say. If you want to help, it's there. And
go and do it.
Yeah, but she's 29, just turned. So yeah.
Well, I had a friend, who I grew up with, and we were like busy mates at high school. His grandparents were married at the age of 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when they started having babies,
Quite usual back in the day.
Yeah.
And this is how we used to do things. I noticed a bit of shame coming from your tone there, Badger. There's no need to be ashamed.
No. You misinterpreted my words.
Well, you sounded ashamed.
What?
You had those pauses and nervous laughs.
Remember, I never have nervous laughs. Okay. But the pauses are because I'm talking my second language. In case you didn't know that.
Well, I keep forgetting.
Yeah, sometimes I need to think about what I'm saying because a word escapes me or something. So that's where the pauses come in. It happens to me more often than it happens to a native speaker.
Yeah. Have you made any videos in German?
No.
No. Because there's German tube, right?
I don't think we call it that, but sure.
Oh, what you just call it youtube.ge.
DE, please.
What's GE? There is one that's GE.
It might be Georgia.
Georgia.
Not that Georgia.
Yeah, I know. Russian Georgia.
Exactly.
Real quick, thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. You're old enough to be Father Time's dad. Now,
that is harsh.
Anything, but Moses still owes me lunch money.
Yeah. I was about to say that was harsh but accurate.
I embrace it. Everybody gives me, according to my grandkids, I'm impossibly old. Because when you're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, 60 just seems like an impossible number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, they're always, you're old, Papa. Yeah, what's your point? But
I'm back in a second. I'll get a cigarette. I'll come back and tell you how my first 4 nights has been.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, make sure you're not eating when you come back, though, because Yeah, not all my stories are good.
Not eating.
Ass.
Drinking coffee.
Oh, I knocked over one thing. Fucking hell.
As usual. While we listen to Alex in the background destroy his room. Oh, I'm sorry, his shed. This is basically what he's in there, I guess, is an attached shed. But oh, excuse me. Fighting a sneeze.
All you need is a cup and a bit of string.
You guys should be in on some of the stuff I've heard in the background when I've been on Discord or in a hangout privately with you wouldn't believe. John Connors is not as you yet, Bloodwing, but I'm
May sing grace, how sweet the sound. Bloodwing loves me, he does.
So, how are your first full scheduled week at work?
Yes, the first 4 nights, because it's 4 nights on, 4 off. Pretty interesting. The first one was basically like a third shadow shift, you know. Still learning. I'm still learning now. I'm going to still be learning for a while, but you know, getting to know the residents, getting to know how things are done, what type of information to log and all that kind of stuff. Basically, because all of our shift patterns, basically there's 2 support workers and there's 2 of my job, which I'm not going to mention on stream because you'd be able to easily find my job.
Right.
If I gave you the title of my role, because it's very, very specific. So the way it rolls is that my first 2 nights I'm on with the female support worker, and the last 2 nights I'm on with the male support worker, and I get on like a house on fire with the female because she's very chatty. I'm also very chatty.
No.
Shut up, you. And unfortunately, the second night, the guy doesn't really talk. He's a little bit antisocial, but he is a nice guy, and he also doesn't give a shit. Like he will
probably get on with the second guy then.
Well, yeah, probably, yeah. He there was a situation last night, and he just dived into it immediately, aggressively, and I was like, wow. I was like, so that's how far I can go then, because I've been trying to gauge just how aggressive I'm allowed to be. Yeah. And I'll go off that. With the female, I'm on my own for the last 2 hours, and with the male, I'm on my own for the last 3. And this place is a bit creepy at fucking night, I'll have to tell you that. Especially in those last 2 hours when you're just like watching the CCTV and you're hearing noises and you start seeing things on the cameras and shit, and you got to do rounds.
Having sort of, you all have heard of sympathy pains, you know, but I don't know what you would call it. But must have been having something like that last night because I was getting creeped out here in my own house.
See, it was a very similar thing, especially this morning. One of the residents, I told you, I not told you specifically, but I did mention on Twitter that I had my first emergency this morning when I was on my own. I was doing my rounds, hourly rounds, you know, to make sure the building's still secure, to make sure that, you know, if anybody's up and about, that they're still all right and stuff, you know, and they're not playing music too loud. Well, I went up the right side of the building, and one of the residents came down fully dressed at like, what time did he come down this morning? It was about 6:30, I think. Still dark outside, you know, we're moving closer to winter, so, you know, longer, darker mornings and all that kind of thing.
Same here.
Yeah. And he was very kind of dismissive of me at first when I tried to greet him, and I couldn't see anything wrong with him. So I was just like, okay, you know, some of the residents are like that, you know, some of them are, you know, moody individuals. So I was just like, okay. So I went upstairs, did the thing up there, came down, saw him leant up against the windowsill, and I didn't really say anything to him. I just walked past him slowly, and didn't really kind of like notice any major issue there. So I went through to the other building via the small courtyard, went in there, and I was about to go to the other side of the building, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna go check on him, because like, why the fuck would he be up now? Like, almost all of these people in there don't get up early, not unless they absolutely have to. You have to remember, a lot of them are fairly youngish homeless people that that our outreach team has reached out to, and they're there to kind of deal with their shit, deal with their issues, addiction, things like that. So a lot of them don't get up early. And a lot of them do spend a great deal of time drinking or shooting up heroin, for example. So I went back to see him, and I reiterated to him, like, you can tell me, dude, what's up? And he was like, and then he just kind of exploded with kind of almost an aggressive tone with me, going, I've got massive chest pains. I've got a fucking awful headache. I'm sweating. I've called an ambulance. And I was like, right, okay. So I stood there and kept an eye on him. I offered it for him to come into the office. He declined. I offered to get him a glass of water. He declined. I tried to give him some level of comfort, having had experience with, chest pains and being rushed off to hospital, but he was very dismissive of that. And plus his condition was getting worse and worse. And I was like, right, if this fucking ambulance doesn't come the next minute, I'm calling them. And, because he was, not only was he getting really agitated and really angry, but he was starting to get to the point where he was thrashing about. He was in that much pain. So I was like, right. So I called 999, which obviously America's is 911.
Right.
I called them up and I explained to them, I said, look, one of my residents has called an ambulance due to chest pains. What is going on? Because I triage. Yeah, the chest pains are supposed to be up there in terms of getting there in ambulance quickly.
Right.
But I managed to up his triage by, telling them, look, his condition is getting worse. He's massively labored breathing and all that kind of stuff. So, the lad did actually shout at the woman on the from where he was sat when I was on the phone. I reassured him, calmed him down a little bit. And then the ambulance finally showed up, and away he went. Logged all the information. So yeah, that's my first one.
Well, you got it behind you now. You got it behind. And real quick, a while ago, Angry Illinois says I'd get along with both of them, talking about your female and male coworkers. Yeah, I probably would too. I can be chatty if you want to be chatty, and I can just sit and stare into the darkness if that's what you want to do too. So.
The guy likes to read his like ebook thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are they called? Kindles?
Kindle?
I think it's a Kindle.
Yeah, Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he has one of those, which is a good idea, to be honest. But yeah, I spent a good portion just kind of like bouncing around the building, interacting with what residents were around and stuff. I mean, not last night, but the night before, I had to give a few of them a bollocking, tell some of them off for breaking the rules and stuff, and stop one of them from winding up one of our most volatile residents.
Right.
But last night, oh my fucking God, I don't know what happened exactly, but around just before 2 a.m., because I did my rounds at 1 and everything was fine. On the right side of the building, somebody who clearly has a fucking water infection pissed somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah. And I'm just going to kind of like try to paint a picture without grossing you out, right? So all the windows, and there's loads of them upstairs, mind you, and the downstairs windows were open. When I walked into that area, the smell was so strong, I could taste it.
Yeah.
But it didn't smell like piss to me. Like, I've got cats. I've also worked in care with elderly people. I know what piss smells like. This smelled like somebody cooking a cheesy pasta and then took a shit in it.
That's pretty rough.
And I went upstairs and the smell became 100 times fucking worse. And I tried to do the breathing through the mouth thing, but I could taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I nearly did throw up at one point. I was like, God fucking damn. There were these very suspect marks on the carpet. They didn't dry up, so it makes me wonder what just the hell it was. Yeah. Exactly. There were like black kind of marks on the carpet, and there was a trail of it, you know?
Right.
And it made me wonder just what the hell it was. I don't know, but I told my coworker about it, and he went to go have a sniff, and he was like, "That's piss, mate." And I was like, "Really?" Because it didn't smell like piss to me, you know. But he was like, "Yeah, that's definitely piss." It's I suppose that's what happens when your body's full of fucking heroin. It does something to your urine, I suppose.
And you know, your urine can. Well, it changes color and it can change smell depending on what your condition is. So.
Yeah. I imagine a few of them. I mean, a lot of them won't resolve their own issues anyway. Yeah. So getting themselves tested for kind of different disease and stuff is probably out of the question at this particular moment in time.
Real quick, hello, Dr. No, and he asked who's playing tonight, the NFL game. I can't remember. The only thing I remember is that it's the Rams.
Yeah, against the Seahawks. Or I think at the Seahawks, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to either think, he's got a massive kidney problem, or he's just got a giant water infection, or both. Who knows? Or he's been drinking God knows what, drinking bong water or something. That's how I imagine it comes out smelling. And the smell was incredible. It was fucking incredible. And there's a hoarder at my work. And she is bad enough on her own. See, she lives in like the separate building across the courtyard. And her hoard that she has in her apartment has stunk out the entire building. But I can deal with that smell because it just smells like rubbish, right? It smells like a garbage heap. The problem is the last couple of nights she's taken to hoarding a carpet that she's left outside the apartment, which I told her to fucking get rid of. But she took it into her apartment and then dumped it back out on the front again. So staff basically removed it. I went upstairs and that same smell that was across on the other side was coming from the top little boxy area where the apartments are. I was like, fuck's sake, it's everywhere. And then around 2:30, you remember the young female who I mentioned, who's probably the most volatile person there.
Yeah.
In terms of verbally exploding at you. She showed up at the office with a cigarette in her hand, mind you. And I'm like, hey, get that outside before you set up a smoke alarm. And she was like, someone's had a piss in the courtyard. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I went out there and there was a puddle of unknown origin on the floor. Now, I wasn't going to get on my hands and knees and smell it. I'm sorry, right? I don't get paid enough to do that shit. I did, however, drop everything that was in my pockets into it. As I basically went and got a bucket of hot soapy, and I just effectively launched the bucket of hot soapy water at the puddle, and then try to push it away,
Yeah.
And two of the residents were outside, and they kept laughing at me because every time I bent down, something new would fall out of my pocket, like my keys, another set of keys. And something else. And I was like, oh no. So once I threw 2 buckets of hot soapy and scrubbed it away, I went and cleaned myself very thoroughly.
Yeah.
Up halfway up my forearms, gave my keys a wee wash, including the security keys too. And because I'd spoken about it on in my Discord, Trez made an excellent suggestion, and that was to purchase some vapor rub and rub it across my top lip. Now, I didn't have any.
I was sitting here waiting for a chance to suggest that to you, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't have that option because, it was, 3:00 in the morning by that time.
Emergency responders, police officers, whatnot, will often use that, if they're on a murder scene where the body has
decomposed.
Yeah.
And
they'll use that they'll just put dabs of it under their nostrils, and that helps cover the smell.
Yeah. So the only thing I could do, because I didn't have anything in my bag, and I really regretted not putting deodorant in my bag earlier that evening, but in the bathroom on top of the cupboard in there was some moisturizer, and it was ladies moisturizer, heavily scented stuff. So I got some of that, spooged it onto my finger, and rubbed it across my top lip.
Yeah.
Of course, I had a bit of a laugh at the fact that I had a little white Hitler mustache for a moment, and then I rubbed it in. But yeah, the job, is fine mostly. Most of the residents respond very well to me, and how I talk to them. I've had pleasant conversations with two of the recently most naughty ones. So I'm obviously got my guard up still. Because one of them who I didn't think had a violent bone in his body, but the younger lads like to wind him up. He's an older gentleman, and he's a massive alcoholic too. And he came flying out of his door, round to the office to complain. And I was like, "Come on, calm down. Tell me what's up." And he's like, "Someone's banging on my fucking door." And I was like, "Right, don't have to swear. Just tell me what happened, mate." And he explained to me, and he said, because he's drunk, he doesn't think, right? So he leant forward. He went, "If one of these little shits does it again," and he pulled out this fucking massive screwdriver out of his back pocket. And I went, "Right, get that back in your apartment right now." And he shit himself because I went, authoritative mode with him, and he wasn't expecting that to come out of my mouth, I guess.
Just for explanatory purposes, did you still have your Hitler mustache on?
No, this was hours and hours. In fact, no, that may be the night before.
Oh,
yeah.
Real quick before I forget to, because my memory's so poor. Happy birthday, Cynical Lindsay!
Aye, happy birthday!
Hey, happy birthday!
You old bitch! Happy birthday, Lindsay! I hope you have a good day and a good night. We're nearly at the weekend as well, so you can go have a few drinky poos. A few cheeky weekies, but it's I've had mostly a good experience with it. I've had to dish out a few bollockins, I've had to dish out a few bollockins, but I've also felt like I kind of made headway with a couple of them at the same time. I was also really gutted as well. Not last night before, I found out one of the residents has got booted out due to violence. He'd punched another resident. And it's a shame. It is a massive shame because the guy, yes, he's got issues. And yeah, we kind of suspect that he was on steroids and stuff. Mm-hmm. But every time that it kicked off with a different resident against the staff, he came flying at them.
Right.
Yeah, he actually put down a lad a couple of weeks ago that was trying to attack my female counterpart.
Right.
Yeah. And he actually stopped a potential thing from happening when someone was about to kick the fuck off, and he heard it and came down the hallway at light speed. And as soon as that resident saw him, they shit themselves and sat the fuck back down. And to be fair, like, he's a big guy, and I know that he can kick ass as well. So, and it's a shame, man. People go there, we send the outreach team to go out and, reach out to these people and find out their vulnerabilities and offer them, the chance to come and sort their life out. Our service offers many, many things. We have a detox center right next door. We have all the access to various therapies and things like that. And a lot of them aren't ready to acknowledge that they have a problem, that they just kind of want to live in their apartments and continue drinking or continue shooting up. We caught a couple of drug dealers trying to sell shit through the window the other day as well. We're like, hippity hoppity, get the fuck off the property. It's a shame, man. Like, it's him especially, because he wasn't a drug addict. And he has 2 kids as well, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just like this guy, he would make the like when I look at him, I imagine the kind of like foreman on a building site, you know.
I get you.
You know, he's all that life experience, but all authority, you know. A scary dude. He's like a Sergeant Major, you know.
Right.
If he had ever kicked off at me, I wouldn't have been able to stop him. I'll tell you that now. Based on what I know about the guy, he would have probably killed me if I'd pissed him off. But no, he was very respectful towards staff mostly, and it's a shame. It's a shame he got kicked out. 2 of the other ones are getting kicked out, which is also a shame as well because I got through to them. Kind of, I feel like I got through to them, you know. But yeah.
And with that, we are at question time, people. So for the next 9 minutes, if you've got any questions, please feel
Lindsay called me a saggy ball bag. Sorry,
probably know more than you want to know about us. So, but you know, any questions? Go ahead, ask.
Oh, I had no idea who was going to take over from me this morning.
Well, I didn't really either until I decided to ask Badger.
Yeah. I was very pleasantly surprised to see my boss at the front door.
Oh, that takeover for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I mean, mate. Not live streams. My watch relief. Why does the UK have hundreds of soccer teams? Because we like the sport, and it's the biggest sport on the earth, and it's the most profitable sport on the earth as well. So we love it. We just do. It has its origins amongst the working class, and now it's a billionaire's playground practically. So
it's a millionaire's playground. Come on.
Well, for the players,
the owners are billionaires.
Yeah, the owners, players... yeah. Like I swear to God, like all of our teams are owned by Russian or American oil. Like,
yep. National Yorkshire does Bloodwing's ball bag swing past his knees? I'm not saying anything, but I do have to be careful when I sit down to take a crap, so they don't hit the water.
There you go. He has a piece of black masking tape that he just dips into the in between his legs when he goes to the toilet. You know, it latches on to his nuts.
Bloodwing, is that why you don't go into the sauna, because they will get stuck between the bars?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Thank you, Owen Harmon, for the donation. A request to all the chat to pray for those suffering addiction, for those helping them overcome it. Absolutely. And that is another subject that's very near and dear to my heart, because if you didn't know, I am a recovered addict. So, yeah.
Indeed. And again, like reading some of these resident stories is damn near fucking heartbreaking. Yeah. Damn near heartbreaking. And one of them, he was at a previous... one of them, right, he used to be on the streets, right? And he got into the papers because he was a good Samaritan, you know? He lived on the streets for a few years. He found a young lad living on the streets, grabbed him and dragged him to the support services and made him sign up to it. Yeah. Which is awesome, you know? And when he got into his service eventually... he got on the spice, synthetic, dirty weed.
Yeah.
And then when he came to our service, he went to alcohol, which it's not that it's better, because it's not. Yeah. But alcohol takes a bit longer to destroy your body than what Class A drugs do.
Yeah.
I know you can kill yourself in one go with alcohol and stuff. I understand it very much. But alcohol to me is better than some dirty form of weed or a corrupted, heroin that's been mixed with other stuff, because that's what dealers do, don't they? They get you addicted and they start mixing shit with it so they can make more money off of you. And because most of our residents have a heroin problem, he's now on the heroin too, and the guy's art is beautiful.
Yeah.
And he's a nice guy as well. You know, he's not a thief either. Like, he found my Skyguard on the windowsill, which I did leave there on purpose, by the way, when I first activated it, and he grabbed it and gave it back to me because he thought I'd lost it. You know,
Dr. No asks how my daughter is. She's doing good. She's one of my kin. We're a tough bunch. We're a tough bunch. It doesn't mean it's been easy on her by no means, but she's moving forward and doing what she can to just get through the rest of life, you know. And that's all you can do. All you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Cynical Lindsay says nothing but massive respect for those that beat addiction. Yeah, absolutely. No one knows better than I do that it's not easy. For those that didn't know, back in the 70s, I was addicted to PCP. So yeah, you don't get much harder core than that.
PCP is cigarettes dipped in what again?
Well, it's cigarettes can be dipped in PCP. PCP is the actual drug.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's horse tranquilizer.
So it's MDMA then.
So it's mean, nasty stuff. It makes you feel invincible.
Oh no, we dip it in cigarette. You dip the cigarette into it, and then they call it sherm, don't they?
I'm not
in
sure
America.
The common term now. You know, in my day, we just called it angel dust, and you snorted it or you shot it. Now, I don't like needles, so I never shot it. I just snorted it, but makes you feel invincible. And there's been several recorded instances of people doing superhuman feats while on PCP. And that's why it's so dangerous. It's dangerous not only to the addict, but if they freak out, it's dangerous to the responders, the police and so forth that have to deal with it.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. The outreach team, oh my God. Stories.
They don't, person on PCP doesn't feel pain, and pain is your stopper, folks. You know?
Yeah, there's a reason why it's there.
Yeah.
Our bodies are amazing things.
Yeah.
They tell, our body tells us when things are wrong. You take away the ability to feel pain. Well,
Blowing, does your daughter look like a younger female version of you, like Sinatra says? Oh, I'm not sure about Sinatra says, but this daughter, no, she looks more like her mom. Mama Minnie, which many of you are familiar with. However, yes, if I were a female, I would. That's and J Kid, forget about it. The only difference between he and I is his hair's thin and his eyes are blue and mine are brown. So, yeah.
That MDMA is fucking filth. That's what it is. Disgusting. We're going to show us heroin, so.
You have really gotten quiet the last half of this stream, Badger.
It's because I'm focusing.
Yeah. Wikipedia snippet. It looks like he's doing a quote here from Wikipedia. I can hardly see it to pronounce it. Phencyclidine, also known as angel dust, among other names, is a drug used for its mind-altering effects. PCP may cause hallucinations, distorted perception of sounds, and violent behavior. Yes, all those things are true.
Dr. No, Gutenberg likes to give me shit.
Yeah, well, that's no.
He likes to give everyone shit.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, especially when he's been drinking. Holy crap. We've known each other for 3 years. You should have seen the streams, from back then.
Yeah.
Usually, we'd be on a stream with 10 people, and Gutenberg would get very heavily drunk, and then he'd start shouting at me. Then I'll start shouting back at him, and we'd go at it for a good 30, 45 minutes. And then we'd have a bit of a kiss and cuddle. Then he'd start on someone else. And not everybody else took it as a joke.
Some of the best was conversations between me, you, and him, and Dax, and whoever behind the scenes that people didn't hear.
In fact, there is a video. I've got a recorded video of it because I recorded it secretly, remember? And he was like, "Fuck you, Alex."
It was so funny that the only thing you hear of me is laughing till I choke.
I will get you a video from where I recorded our conversation, and I'll link it in the chat so you can go have a listen to just how hilarious the conversation was. Because we went through a period of time where we just kind of like all four of us would hang out in the Discord just chatting. And it was always a good time. Myself, Bloodwing, Dax, Gutenberg, whether I was like playing video games on my own or whether I was playing Warframe with these two or whatever, Gutenberg would be in there and we'd be shouting at each other. It was always a good time. It was a lot of fun.
Owen Harmon, Dax has a work schedule that you just can't count on, is the only way that I know how to describe it. So he's busy with work.
Oh wow, I got an ad on it. I guess I'm a part of the test that YouTube is running.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to put more ads on yellow demonetized videos. I think I got an ad on it. There's the video. It's called Gutenberg versus R8 Alex Discord fight. And it's back from 2018. Good grief, February 2018 as well. So nearly 2 years ago. God damn. Wow.
Yeah, and I am on that. You will hear me, but all you'll hear is me laughing till I get choked.
You can just hear Bloodwing dying in the background for most of it. Go give it a watch. It was a lot of fun.
I have to say, I'm kind of surprised that you say laughing until you choke. I thought where you come from, it's called laughing until you're pulling a colt.
Well, there's that too.
Well, Americans pull out the Colt first.
No, not that Colt.
Oh, you said Colt, and I thought, Bloodwing. He smiles when he's annoyed.
Folks, trust me. If you're aggravating me, getting on my nerves, and I start to smile at you, you better look for somewhere to run. Because that's the sign that it's about to get real.
The problem is his beard is so big you can't tell if he's smiling or not. So
that's true most of the time. Although my beard right now is at the length that I like it at. It's at the perfect length, I think. But Dr. No, I've never owned an El Camino, although I have raced against an El Camino before. But that'll have to be a story for another day, because we are at the end of it, folks. 2 hours, man, it's just flew by. Just flew by. This is the part where I thank all of you for coming out and all your support and the likes and the shares, the comments, the chat. You guys are the best. And this channel could not exist without you. I honestly believe that. Badger, thank you for coming on to fill in with me today.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, what did you say?
Anything you want to shout out?
Just my Twitter at FHSBadger. That's about it.
Yeah. And if you're interested at all in American sports, particularly football, he's worth a follow for sure.
And even more so if you're
pick he makes, but it's interesting.
Yeah, even more so if you're interested in betting on NFL games.
Yeah, he does give the odds.
Oh yeah, and I'm pretty good on it this season. I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of myself.
I think he's got a problem, folks.
Yeah.
Fuck you,
Alex, buddy. Glad you're having such a good time at your work, and thanks for stopping in with us. And anything you want to shout out?
Absolutely. Subscribe, guys, to Bloodwing. Go follow him on Twitter. The same with, of course, Badger Boy here, who should be throwing his links in the chat to make it easier for you. Both of those links, ball bag. Also, ladies and gents, I will be trying to release 2 videos over my 4 days off work. One of them will be on Foodie Booty, aka Chantel Marie, a big fat bitch mukbang channel, and that, of course, will be a Lord Bear video. But that will be the second. The first one I've wanted to make for the last couple of days has been another kind of takedown of abusive shitbag rewired soul. So I want to kind of shit on him again. So look out for that. I am going to be probably doing a live stream tomorrow morning, first thing, bright and breezy. I'd love it if you came out to join me. I'm going to be talking about my job and doing a weeaboo unboxing video because I've not been able to do my unboxing because of work. But yeah, guys, and also my latest video was a video looking at some weird and wonderful critical Kickstarters. So go check that out. The link is in the chat now, guys.
There you go, folks. There you go. As for me, the next episode of Redneck Radio will be Saturday at 2:30 Eastern. Also, will be episode 16 of Redneck Track coming up on Sunday and it will be at 5:30 since the Colts play in prime time on the late games. So, 5:30 Eastern on Sunday. So be looking for that.
Sunday.
Also, screw you, John Connor. And he's asking you, Badger, if you called the Raiders last week.
I did. I'm sorry, but I did.
Yeah. It was a shock to me. I thought
I did. I would not have bet on the Raiders outright unless the odds are really good, which they probably were. But I certainly would have picked the Raiders to cover the spread, which they did.
At any rate, thank you again, everybody. And as always, get out of my yard.
Bye, guys.
Bye.